Just a bit of banjo for a sec. Cool. No, I just had to check. I turned that off because I...
Okay.
Right, I'm ready to go. You guys ready to play?
Okay, welcome to the third Toad session. There's been a bit of a fuck up with the scheduling. Originally supposed to be down tiny steps, which I think I promised on Toadcasts in the past, but I didn't quite manage to organise that properly. They had personnel issues, so Meursault will plan to be the next one after that, but then the other one before that. But you guys have got personnel issues. You're missing Chris, aren't you? Is he just on holiday? Couldn't make it?
Chris is on a holiday after being in Yale for 2 months. He's been in Yale for 2 months. He's doing a scholarship over there.
How much of it do you preconceive when you write it? I mean, how much of it is in your head before you actually start sitting down with the guys and thrashing it out?
Generally, I'll have an acoustic guitar part and a rough idea of what I want maybe the percussion to be doing. But apart from that, it's kind of fair game to the three guys to...
So where did that banjo riff come from in the furnace? Because was that one of the... Did you write a song and then land that on top of it? Because it's so integral, it's amazing.
I think that was just a little tune that was in my head, and I started it, and then Chris was nice enough to finish it. And yeah.
You put what you described as a Percussion on the album, didn't you?
It was kind of a rush. We had some sort of a few sort of mixing problems and hard drives just making parts and vanish and things like that.
But is that, I mean, if you're doing all your own mixing and recording and stuff, is there a temptation to just keep tinkering with it again and again and again? You must have that.
I mean, I'm quite bad for putting unrealistic deadlines on things because that's the way I get things done. You know, I'll just say, right, okay, the album's coming out in a month,
such a time,
and it is coming out in a month. Whether it's ready or not, it's coming out in a month.
We should book the party.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we did. It's like it wasn't finished when we booked the launch for it. But that's just how that's how I get things done. Just because you could, like you say, if you've got sort of total control over it, and we've got all the files sitting there, we could still be mixing it now.
Right, well, we're going to play the next session track shortly, and that's called, it's the title track for the album, Pissing on Bonfires, Kissing with Tongues. And I want to get into the sort of the question of the cajon, which is what is substituting for a drum kit, really, in your setup. Now, Fraser, you are actually a drummer anyway, aren't you?
No.
Or you can play the drums?
I can play a few beats and make it sound like I know what I'm doing, yeah. But no, I'm a guitarist by trade, but I used to just annoy the shit out of my mum and my teachers by basically drumming on desks, and every job I've ever had has been pretty mind-numbing, so basically tapping on tills and all that kind of stuff. So always liked rhythms and things.
Is the cajon sort of like a substitute for that finger drumming you do on the table when you're listening to something really good at work?
Yeah, I was just like, obviously you get bongos and all that kind of stuff and you go through your phase and you smoke a bit too much weed and you're sitting around at parties with that, but then it's a bit boingy, it's a bit worldly music-y, which doesn't really suit sort of like the sort of stuff that we'd be wanting to do in any music we were making, so we were like, something that does that hand drum thing that I can play sufficiently or whatever, but it sounds more like a real drum kit. So this thing's basically got bass, snare, you stick a shaky egg in your sock and you and you're laughing. And we don't, whenever we record stuff, we always shy away from like hi-hats and stuff like that because they're really hard to mix, and sometimes they sound a bit bad as well. But that's our own fault.
Because I was asking Neil about this earlier. We were talking in the pub, and I was saying, well, why don't you use a live drum kit? I think it suits the sound. I'm not saying that I don't, but I'm just curious as to how you guys arrived at that. You're saying you find the hi-hat too dominant, and was it the bass drum you're saying you don't like? What was?
I just find that out of all the instruments that are kind of sort of synonymous with sort of modern sort of Western music, I think the drum kit's the least explored. I just don't.
You mean it's just a standard here?
It's just there. There's your snare. There's your tom, and the vast majority of drummers, with the exception of a few, just get on with it. They don't try and sort of make their instrument their own. It just exists, and that's what I kind of love about sort of Fraser's attitude towards percussion, is that it's percussion. It's not a drum kit that you're playing. It can be anything. It's just the percussion. I think Nothing Broke is quite a funny song.
You were telling me that. I started listening to it thinking, oh, this is quite heartbreaking, and then you're saying, no, it's actually quite...
What, the end of the world?
I don't know.
Happens,
it's the whole idea
I think that's
of
the idea.
Nothing Broke's supposed to be the idea that you can imagine a busy shopping precinct, and a voice comes over the tannoy and says, everyone's going to die in 5 minutes. The world's going to be completely obliterated. So everyone just gets completely naked and starts fucking each other. And then 3 minutes later, the same voice comes over and says, actually, no, that's not going to happen at all. And everyone looks awkwardly at each other and just sort of slowly backs off and walks away.
So you didn't think to write a normal song about your girlfriend dumping you? Yeah. Naked orgies and Jesus, man. Right, well, what a perfect note to end the session on, right? Jesus Christ. It's a highbrow show for highbrow people and weird folk who write songs about them.
We got an F word.